433 daily videos. Some, like this one, blew up. Others, like all of the rest, didn't. From this, I learned some tips about YouTube, but honestly, more importantly, I learned some valuable lessons about both consistency and intrinsic motivation as a creator that I want to share with you today. See, 3 years ago, I felt unfulfilled, lost, and just directionless, and I wanted a different life. I wanted a life that I could feel proud of, that I could feel fulfilled by and feel proud of looking back on. And so I turned to social media for answers. Everyone was basically saying the same thing. Oh, build an audience. Oh, share your story, make content. But honestly, it was very overwhelming and I didn't know how to start. Until one morning, I was reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I had this idea. What if there was something that I could do that gave me all of the upside of YouTube without any of the downside? The next morning, I decided to set up my camera, set a timer for 5 minutes, and hit record. And that day changed the course of my life. In this video, I want to share this story with you and what I learned about starting something new, being motivated when you don't feel like it, and what they don't tell you about consistency. So if you're just starting out or you've been thinking about giving up, this story is for you. Let's get into it. So I just moved to San Francisco, California, excited to start a new life. I had a nice, cushy software engineering job, but as the novelty and kind of excitement faded, what was unveiled to me was a lack of fulfillment, something that I realized money couldn't buy me. I knew I wanted to start something on my own. I just didn't know what. So like many of us, I took to social media to look for ideas and answers because apparently everyone else has it figured out. I realized I liked writing, but nowadays I feel like social media is all video, and so I couldn't quite reconcile these things. Whenever I thought about making a video, I felt like it just felt overwhelming. I felt like my perfectionism was getting in the way of making a video. And so that's when that morning comes into play, where I was reading Atomic Habits and had that idea of what if I could get all of the upside without any of the downside. See, the part that I didn't like about making YouTube videos, or at least starting to make them, was I felt like there was pressure. There was this pressure to craft a video. The script, the editing, the music, the whatever. And I didn't like the idea of putting out a crappy video because I felt like it was a reflection of me. And I didn't want to put out something that people would think less highly of me than what I could, than my own perfectionism. Like, oh, I could make this amazing video. And if I put out this crap, then people are gonna think lower of me. I think it was that mix between perfectionism and, self-image or lack of self-confidence that I felt like was just holding me back from starting. And so what I did that next morning was I set up my camera, I hit record, and I started a timer for 5 minutes. And at the end of that 5 minutes, I would stop the video. It didn't really matter what happened within those 5 minutes. I would talk about whatever, but most importantly, I didn't publish it. I didn't post it. So, what's up? This is kind of awkward. It could turn into something more. Who knows? 5 minutes is up. I'll see you tomorrow. At this time, as I was reading Atomic Habits, I was in the mindset of setting up systems and habits that I would, experiment with. And so the monthly system that I had come up with this month was to make 30 5-minute videos in the morning and don't publish any of them. Go for a walk, come back, hit record, set a timer for 5 minutes, talk about whatever, and then stop, and that's it. So I made 267 videos like that. I went for months straight, and there was a break in there when I moved to Denver at one point, but I made 267 videos that I never published, and that decision laid the foundation for everything else. So the first thing that I learned, even just from the beginning part of this journey, was to take the pressure off of yourself. Whatever the thing is that is holding you back from starting, try to remove it. Just whatever the external validation is, whatever the external, remove it and just start with what you can control. And what I realized from these videos was it allowed me to build the habit and build the skill of speaking my thoughts and speaking on camera without any of the overhead of actually making videos. So what came from this first part of this journey was kind of interesting and unexpected. I had built up this habit. I had built up this reaction where something would happen in my life. I would have this feeling, and I would grab my phone, hit record, and just speak into the selfie video camera, sharing what had happened, what I was thinking about, what I was feeling. And that became this habit. And so at this point, I had this collection of 200 and whatever daily videos, morning videos on some hard drive, and probably hundreds more of these little random videos, phone videos of whatever was happening in my daily life, which came in handy for this next part. At this point in my life, I had decided to quit my job, not renew my apartment lease. I bought a van and put everything in storage and went on this big long road trip around the western US. And all throughout this, I was still making these little phone videos. I stopped with the morning videos using my camera. And I had gotten comfortable speaking into my own phone camera. And it was at this point I realized that the thing that was holding me back from posting videos to YouTube was so much smaller now. I was already doing the thing. I was already making videos. The only thing that I was missing was literally uploading them and hitting publish. And so that is what I did next. This would end up being the start of my public 433 daily videos that I posted to YouTube. I would end up publishing around 2 what I called seasons of these DailyVs until something started to change. But up until then, I didn't care about views, I didn't care about titles, topics, I didn't care about thumbnails, I didn't care about anything except for documenting my life for 5 to 10 minutes and hitting publish. The goal of them was to be as easy and frictionless as possible. And that is what leads to my next learning. That when you're setting up a system or a habit, design it around your worst or hardest day, because what's going to be more important is continuing and not quitting. In Atomic Habits by James Clear, the same book, he has a quote You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And so when I was thinking about starting up my DailyVs and publishing them, I literally thought about this. In my journal, I wrote, "When the hardest day comes, the darkest day, the day I least want to record myself for 5 minutes, why should I do it? Because this is the exact moment I want to look back on when I'm 80 years old." Now, maybe I was being a little overdramatic in my journal, but I think you get the idea that there will be a day, there will, not if, there will be a day when you don't feel like showing up, you don't feel like doing the thing, and it will then be a question of, will you continue? And so I took this frame of, how can I orient around continuing? That being the baseline. How can I make it so easy that even on my hardest, most unmotivated day, I continue to show up? And lo and behold, this was the hardest part of this entire process. There were many days when I had something exciting to share. There was a story from the previous day. I met someone interesting and had a conversation that I could talk about. But there were also a lot of days when I didn't have that.
I don't know what to talk about, but I think this is actually something I can talk about. It's one of those moments where it's like, I don't have anything inspirational to say. The juices are not flowing. It's like we're hitting the brick wall, and it's like we're hitting the robot block, whatever. It's like we just need to get through it. Good evening. Today is one of those kind of transition days where if I could play my skip a video card, skip a DailyV card, I would play it today. But instead I'm just talking about how I would play my skip a DailyV card.
But that is where this design decision came into play. Not knowing what to talk about was a thing that I could share and talk about. And so at the end of the day, I had this frame of document for my future self, and so speak to him. Just talk about whatever. It doesn't matter. Nobody's gonna watch the video. You just have to show up.
I think what's more important, I keep saying this, is that I just show up and publish something rather than have it be in any way good.
And somehow I kept showing up. But it was this perfectionism image of myself that I had to continue each time this happened, continue to chip away at this image and break it down into rubble. Include the long pauses in the video, include the weird rambles and rants, and just publish the video. And that was hard. And my next learning lesson from this phase is just how powerful intrinsic motivation and habits are. For these DailyVs, I basically wanted no external validation, no external metrics, no external motivation at all. I didn't look at, you have to look at your views when you upload a video and it shows you your past 4 videos, whatever. But I never logged into YouTube Studio. I didn't look at any analytics. I didn't want to look at any views, but basically I wanted no external motivation. I wanted this all to be internal and making videos for my future self and just documenting my life. There was actually a video when I had just gotten to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and one of the videos that I had previously posted in like the last week got like 500 views or something like that. And I noticed that it started to affect my mindset, and I ended up making a video about this, talking about how I just wanted to show up for 365 days and then see what happens. You know, Alex Hormozy talks about just like show up for a year and then think about, you know, analyzing what worked and what didn't work. But the problem is these videos are not my priority. And I outlined yesterday, in yesterday's video, the reasons why I'm making these videos. And if you remember what I said, none of it had to do with making money or gaining subscribers or gaining views. And so looking at the subscribers and the views are actually just a distraction from me putting in the work of recording videos every day. I think it's actually true that I could literally spend the next 365 days, that spend the next year doing exactly this. Sitting down every morning and recording a video for whatever, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it ends up being. I think I can actually do that for the next 365 days and literally not even look at my subscribers or views. And I would be satisfied with that. And it would achieve the goals that I am looking to achieve, which is documenting this period of my life and sharing learnings and documenting the process of building a business and sharing the learnings with you. So I found that if I can align my work or habits with something that I'm intrinsically motivated by, something that I'm motivated by, rather than, you know, oh, I have to make a video because, you know, I'm building an audience, or because, you know, I want to get more views or subscribers or whatever. For this, my motivation became, one, the habit, making it very easy, but also just documenting for my future self to look back on. I would say if you can align your work with something that you're intrinsically motivated, I've found that you can go very far with that. And if you aren't sure what you feel intrinsically motivated by, I would say start with what you're curious about. Start with exploring your curiosities, because, and I learned this from Jay Shetty in a podcast years ago, that curiosity is what leads to interest. Interest is what leads to passion, and passion is what leads to purpose. And so rather than, you know, thinking about deep motivations or purpose or passion, just start with what you're curious about and start exploring that. It was maybe 2/3 of the way through my second season of DailyVs. I was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, when I started to try to kind of rise up above and start to grow more intentionally. I wanted to start trying to balance both documenting for my future self, but also trying to share learnings, share value, and make videos that are more interesting as a viewer rather than as a producer. And so back to all of these days where I just felt like I had nothing to share, nothing to talk about, this brought up this new interesting problem for me, which was, what do I talk about? What can I talk about? And I ended up kind of exploring that deeper. I played around with the YouTube API and had an idea to look for YouTube comments for inspiration. I threw together some algorithms, trained a little model to look for specific comments, and put a little UI together and built a little website that would look for YouTube comments to give me inspiration for topics. I ended up showing this to a friend, and he actually really liked it and saw the vision for what it could be. He basically said, I wish it would just tell me the YouTube videos, the ideas, the titles to make. And so I took that vision and kind of ran with it. And that's when I realized that solving this problem could be useful for more than just me. I saw an opportunity for me to kind of stop guessing and start actually finding what people online were talking about, what questions they had, what topics people were resonating with. But it was very much overwhelming to do manually. I basically wanted something that would just synthesize it all down and personalize it to my channel, and I wanted to build that. Pulling on that thread has turned into what my software is today. It's called Video Hawk. It's a personalized assistant for YouTube creators, gives them video ideas that are personalized to their channel, personalized to their title style, based off of what's working in their niche and on YouTube, and shows the audience YouTube comments across their entire niche to back it up. The goal for me building this was to never run out of video ideas again, and it has done exactly that. So if you are an authentic YouTube creator and that sounds interesting to you, the link is in the description. You can try it out for free while I'm in early access. Fast forward through Southeast Asia, season 2, season 3 of DailyV's. I flew back to the US and got back in my van and drove it out west and really built and scaled up my software. And it was very isolating. And that was kind of the purpose as I was trying to build up this software. But it made the videos and the process of making these videos that much harder, because there were many, many days where it's just like normal life is boring, you know? Not much changes day to day. And it was very hard to find things to talk about that would be interesting during that process. But at the end of the day, I remembered and kept telling myself that I'm making these videos for my future self and no one else. And so if I have a boring day and I just show up and talk about whatever, what's most important is that I capture the real and authentic truth for my future self so that he has that lens into the present, or for him into the past. And that pretty much brings us up until today. I stopped making my DailyV's about a month ago, before the holidays and flying abroad. I realized that at this point I have a software that actually gives good video ideas to real creators, and it was time to kind of put my money where my mouth is and show that it works. And the only way to show that it works is basically by using it. And so the next evolution of this is taking DailyV's, using that as the foundation, learning from that experience, and building that into actually making more videos intentionally and taking this more seriously alongside actually building a software business. So my final learnings to share from this last phase of this journey: just showing up on YouTube isn't everything, but it is something. You've probably heard people online talk about quantity over quality, or consistency, or just, putting out content. And I would say, having gone through this journey, consistency is important, quantity is important, but I think the thing that I was missing in terms of actually getting results was the intentional improvement, the intentionality behind videos, rather than just showing up, hitting record and rambling for 10 minutes, actually spending some time beforehand and thinking about what I want to talk about and the value of this particular video. And secondly, I learned that there are some really nice people on the internet, but there are also some really broken people on the internet. I ended up running into and meeting some very, very nice people through posting my videos authentically daily, some people deciding to stick around and actually taking interest in the journey that I was sharing. They seem to resonate with my authenticity and realness. And if you're watching, thank you. I appreciate you. But at the same time, I also received some very mean and terrible comments from people who honestly, it's hard to feel anything else besides sorry for them. I just feel bad for someone who's stooped so low that they want to try and, tear down somebody else. But, it is what it is. It's just, I wasn't expecting to receive that so early on. I just kept telling myself that it shows more about the commenter than about me to remember why I'm making these videos, and that hate is a prerequisite for success. So before closing out this video, I thought it would be kind of fun to do some fun superlatives for a couple of my DailyVs and share some ones if you want to check them out amongst the others that I've shared in this video so far. So here are a couple. My most proud was a video called My Thoughts on Religion Are Changing. I was in Chiang Mai and had been watching some long podcasts about religion and life, and basically the next morning woke up, was kind of feeling weird, but ended up deciding to go for it anyway, and got into this very nuanced discussion of wrapping my brain around religion basically 15 minutes after I had just woken up. My second most uncomfortable DailyVs to make were, I should just make this a series called the Phuket Strip Club series. Basically went to some strip clubs in Phuket to level up my social skills, and the subsequent DailyVs talked about those. Basically that whole week, just pacing back and forth on the beach, talking into my camera, trying to not share too much, but also share enough that it's, somewhat interesting. Anyway, most uncomfortable for sure. Last one, most unexpected blow up. I had just arrived in Kuala Lumpur and I forgot to make a video when I had left Singapore. And so it was 9 p.m. in Kuala Lumpur. I was I forgot to make a video, and so I was just hey, I made it to Kuala Lumpur, and this is my video, and that was basically it. And the comments were flooded with people from Malaysia. They were oh, welcome to Kuala Lumpur, oh, you should go here and you should go here. I was oh my god, this is not what I was expecting from a video that I spent 2 minutes on. So after 433 daily videos, this is what I've learned from this journey. Remove the pressure. Start without the fear of perfection. Start without the overhead. Start without the things that are stopping you, and learn to do the thing first. Find your intrinsic motivation. Find out the thing or the reasons that would make you continue to show up or continue to do that habit during your hardest days and for 365 days straight. And growth requires intentionality. Just showing up on YouTube will get you started. Just showing up with whatever habit will help you build the consistency, but growth requires intentional improvements. If you're an authentic creator struggling with video ideas, check out Video Hawk for free, link in the description. But wherever you are in your journey, remember that progress beats perfection. If you're struggling with the first step, make it even smaller and even easier. And I'll see you in the next one.